Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we got a show for you, breakup issues you're not seeing. Sometimes they say love is blind. I don't know if that's true or not. I think you're seeing a lot of stuff the whole time. You're just not paying attention. Tell me I'm wrong on that. Have you ever looked back? You're broken up. You've been broken up for a while, broken up for a while, and you think, shit. Wait a minute. That was a turning point. I didn't even notice it. That was a fork in the road. That's when I knew. You know when I knew? I knew when this happened. But during the breakup, before the breakup, especially before the breakup, do you think to yourself, I just didn't see it? Newsflash, you're not a psychic nor Nostradamus. But what I see from my seat, talking to people about their breakups, and if you want to talk about your breakup, writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com. Send your story in and get my take on it or get a live coaching session. Some of the things that people break up over are a culmination of things. But at the end, it feels like it's just one thing. It's usually a few things that have created a domino effect or what I call layering, where things start to stack on top of each other and carry more power. It's almost like if you started a fire with one log, it wouldn't really burn that well if you know anything about starting fires. You need kindling, you need maybe some newspaper, you need some more stuff to get a really good blaze going, right? And what leads up to a breakup a lot of times, it's the same thing. It's kind of like one of those things, it's like, well, she just started seeing some other guy, or, well, he just was drinking too much. Why was he drinking too much? What culminated seeing someone else? That doesn't mean it's your fault. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. But you still aren't seeing the issues. And that's where I really help out when I do a live coaching session. Because some people go, I didn't look at it that way. I didn't see it that way. And one of the ones that comes up a lot, and people don't ever notice it, is work. Why would work be such an issue? Because some people are like, oh, well, she hasn't or he hasn't really been liking his job, or just got laid off. That's a big one. The person just got laid off, right? And they think, oh, they think to themselves, that's not part of the breakup. Newsflash. It's a big part of the breakup. Now, why would someone's work situation bleed over into the relationship? We got two on deck. Well, it's pretty clear to me. It's going to affect their moods and their emotions, their decision making, and it's going to create more impulsive behavior. What does that mean? Well, if you are being annoying, or you're in an argument like you do in relationships, or something comes up, it takes a little bit of patience to be in a relationship, to not get what you want, to not do those kinds of things. If you have a job that you hate, that you're busting your ass at 10 hours a day, 8 hours a day, and then you come home and you got a breakup issue, your battery's already spent. Your battery's done. And so you're not going to deal with that problem the same way if you had a job you liked and you enjoyed and you came home fresh and in a good mood. Look at it this way. Make a list of people you know Make a list of people you know, friends, family, colleagues. Just the first 10 that come to your mind that are friends, family, and colleagues that are close to you. First 5. And sometimes your friends and family, close friends, they're negative, they're in bad moods a lot. And some people are positive. Usually people aren't just neutral. They're usually one or the other. Glass half full, glass half empty. Right? We know these people. Look at their jobs. And you can kind of tell when someone likes their job how they talk about it. I mean, a big one is, I love my job. If someone goes, I love my job, they don't like their job, they love it. That person is going to be a more pleasant person to be around. Just how it is. Unless they love a job where they're hurting people. One of the ones that I always thought of was, I thought to myself, God, that'd be brutal to be a lawyer or a divorce lawyer. I'm wondering to myself, God, you got to do some pretty ruthless shit, right? But some of those people like those jobs because they get paid really well and it's pretty prestigious, right? But if you have work issues, that's one of those ones a lot of times people, when they talk to me, are like, yeah, well, he had been laid off for 6 months. Well, that will contribute to erratic behavior and a relationship changing and having less patience and more fights and arguments, right? But if you really don't like your job, I've talked about it before. My father was a truck driver, really didn't like that job. I think it's safe to say there were times when he just hated it. It was very routine, lots of traffic, and he was in a bad mood after work most of the time. And he's a different person retired. Totally different person. Totally different person, right? So work issues are one of those things you're not going to see. If someone's not happy with their job, they're not fulfilled, and they don't feel significant. Those are the basics of feeling good about your job. Think about that for a minute. Now, money's important, but feeling significant at work in a way that you're important and you're good at your job. And the other part would be having a job that you feel fulfilled, that you feel like the work you're doing is important. Next one, breakup issues you're not seeing. Bad relationship with parents. Now, I know this seems obvious, but when you start a relationship with someone and it's rose petals and wine glasses, peaches and cream, and you have good intimacy and you're attracted to each other and you're having good dinners and you know, walks in the park and what have you. And someone goes, oh, I don't have a good relationship with my parents, or I don't have a good relationship with my mom. You tend to just brush that off and go, oh, we don't need to go there right now. And that's actually a good move. You know, if you just start dating and everything's good and they say they don't really get along with their mom, you want to go, tell me more about that. Tell me more about why you don't like your mom, what happened when you were young. It's just not a good time. But that will bubble up eventually. And what happens is, especially if you have a good relationship with your parents or your mom and dad, you'll have trouble understanding their point of view. But also, those kind of issues are anchored issues that probably aren't going away. And especially if someone, just like I said, it's a really strong thing for someone to say. It's one thing when someone says, I like my job. It's another thing when they say, I love my job. It's the same thing when someone says, I don't really like my job, and when someone says, I hate my job. I would say with the parent relationship, someone's like, oh, you know, me and my mom just don't talk that much. We've just lost touch and we don't really get along. If someone says, I haven't spoken to my mom in 20 years, red flag. There's some carnage there. Is it your job to detective that and fix that? No, not really, but stay tuned because something's going to bubble up that's a minefield for that individual, and they haven't dealt with it. Doesn't mean they have to be on the best terms with their parents, but it's going to come up, and it's going to be an issue in your relationship that you don't see because you're not an expert on that kind of stuff. Trauma stuff. This has been coming up a lot recently. And a lot of people, when they start dating, someone will mention it. Well, I had a past relationship where the man was highly abusive with me. And the guy goes, "Oh my God, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. And the woman's like, you got to be patient with me because I'm sensitive to this and that, and I have this PTSD and this and that." And that's one of those things. In the moment, you're being compassionate, you're being understanding. But what you're not seeing is it's going to be an issue in the relationship, because what's really different, you never had that trauma, so no matter how you try to slice and dice it, you can't really feel it. You can't really understand it. And so when that person becomes distant with you or they're triggered by something, you're like, what's going on? And then they go, well, this is the PTSD. This is how I am. And then you go, wait a minute, I've never dealt with this before. Like, what do I do? It's an issue when it becomes an issue. What I mean by that, in the beginning, someone just tells you about it. Next one, money problems. These all seem like they would be apparent. These all seem like something like, oh, I would know that right away. During the relationship, someone goes, oh, you know what? He just didn't have a lot of extra money because he just lost his job and he was getting back on his feet. Or he did mention that he has some credit card debt. Sometimes people throw you little breadcrumbs, but when the relationship's really good, you don't really dig. And then later on, those problems become bigger. Here's another one. An ex they never got over. Now, when I say that, I don't necessarily mean that they want their ex back. It just could be a situation where they still think about them, they still talk about them, the person's still in the picture. They never really fully got closure. When you get in a fight, they kind of bring that person up. Or the relationship or the breakup with that ex was so bad, they're still carrying ill feelings. Those are things you don't really see on the surface when you're having a good time in the beginning. And here's the big one. The really big one. Okay? The things you didn't like in the beginning became a bigger issue. The things you didn't like in the beginning became a bigger issue. Have you, Petty Betty, welcome. Rosanna, welcome. Have you had someone you were dating where in the beginning you thought, oh, I don't really like that about them, but it's okay, I can deal with it. And then later on it really bothered you? Maybe video game playing, Petty Betty? Something in the beginning you're like, yeah, I don't really like that, but it's okay, it's cool. I remember there was a guy a while back that the girl just, they were on vacation and she just unloaded on him, I can't do this anymore. And he was shocked. He was shocked. I'm good, Andy. Oh, we got a female show today. Nice. I like females. Good one, Sess. Good one, Sess. Hi, Coach Mac and everyone. I'm more than glass half full, half empty, but I'm really just happy to have a glass. Wow. That's positive. We'll get to your topic today, too, Sess. Sess, Andy's actually called in before, and Andy's from PI also. So what I was saying is the things you didn't like in the beginning became a bigger issue. And this is breakup issues you're not seeing. A lot of times people were like, well, in the beginning, I didn't really mind. Like Petty Betty, the video game thing. Like, oh, he plays a lot of video games. I don't like it. And then, 6, 7 months down the line, you're like, aren't we supposed to go to dinner? And they're like, oh, I need to beat this level, or I'm playing video games. And you're like, really, again? But that's really the person they were when you first met them, right? Lots he did without me. What's up, Jenny? Like I said, it's an all-female crew. Oh, Rob just stepped in. Rob, we got all females today on deck. Breakup issues you're not seeing. Does anyone want to add some ones that I didn't mention, or get specific? And I'll get a little specific on past breakups I've had, where you went after the breakup, you're like, that didn't really bother me, and I was cool with it because our intimacy was good, our chemistry was good, attraction was good, trust was okay. But over time, I really got sick of the video game playing. Or over time, I really got this. And sometimes what happens is you change, where you just are kind of like, I just can't do that anymore, where before it was okay. One of the things that's changed in my life, Marvel comic movies, I just can't watch them anymore. It's just too fake, too predictable, and people love them, right? People love them. It's like someone wants to go see a Marvel comic movie, like, oh, geez. And I had you date someone and you're like, yeah, okay, we'll go see Spider-Man 15. There's like 15 of them, right? It's like Spider-Man again, something like that. And in the beginning, you're like, yeah, that's cool. And then after a while, you're like, you know what? I don't want to see Spider-Man. I don't even like those movies. The person's like, what's going on here? You always seen Spider-Man with me. After a while, it kind of wears off. Right? And you get in these situations where after a while you're like, I don't really want to do that anymore. I used to just do it because I liked you and we were dating, but now, yeah, I'm not going to put up with you playing video games for 8 hours and I'm sitting on the sidelines hanging out with you. I've never dealt with that one, but I've heard women complain about that. But I've had actually women clients that are video game, gamers, if you will, that, them and their partner like game together. So, Rosanna, thank you. So one of the things I'm gonna dovetail this into is if there's work issues, because this came up with a former client, where she's got an issue with someone at work, okay? And from all accounts, this individual likes her job, from what I know. We've done live coaching before, and she likes her job. But she's got a current situation where the manager changed. Anyone that's worked in a job atmosphere where there's a manager knows what happens when this happens. I do. When I was a teenager, I worked in retail where you have 2 or 3 different managers, and I'll shed some stories. And maybe, like I said, Rob, who's always on deck, might have heard some of these stories because I only have so many, Rob, right, that are personal. But you get a manager, and the worst is you have a manager you like, and just like, the manager's not perfect, but you got respect for each other. You like doing the job for them. You carry out whatever it is they want to do, and the person's just cool. The person's just one of those people that you're like, this person's just cool. If they ask me to do something, I'll do it. We have a good relationship where if I have a problem, I can talk to them. That's the best kind of manager, right? Even if you get upset with them, you're going to confront them in a way where you're not all emotion. So this individual is saying that she's got this new manager, and it's pretty cool that it's all females, because this is going to go into a female theme here, because what we talked about, so she's in her late 30s and the new manager's in her early 30s, okay? Let's just say 30 and 37, right? And she's been working at this place for a while, for a few years, has moved up, has created a higher status for herself. but there's a new manager there. It's an office type situation. And so the woman that's new replaced someone that was liked. But it's a situation where there's doctors there. It's a doctor's office of some sort, okay? So I'll just give that away. And so think about it this way. You get someone as a manager that's 30. You got doctors, which are prestigious positions in the world. Let's just say that. You got other people that you're managing that are older than you and might have more experience in that office. It's not a good position for this 30-year-old because right off the bat, it's going to be an uphill battle. She comes in. She's new to the office. She's got some people that have been there 4 or 5 years. Because I'll tell you what, when I work in an office situation or with multiple other people, when people are new and I'm friendly and nice, earn your stripes. You know what I mean by that? Like, keep your mouth. Don't complain about shit. Do your job. Do it better than everyone else. Just earn everyone's respect, and then we can go out to lunch together and hang out. Like right off the bat, you're not. They got to earn some stripes, right? But when you get a new manager that just came right in and they're suddenly your superior, it's kind of hard to do that. You're like, all right, I'm gonna feel this person out. I've literally left jobs when a new manager came in because I'm like, I don't want to learn this person, and I'm telling them what we did in the past, and they're gonna switch things up. It's just not a comfortable situation. But here's the thing: if you really like your job, and let's be honest, right now with the economic climate and whatnot, you might need your job. It's good pay and everything. If it's a job where there's an HR department, that is your referee. So this particular situation, the new manager comes in and basically is creating a situation where they're, well, I'm going to change your hours. I'm going to change your schedule. You might lose a title. So this person, the person that's 37 and the person that's 30 is going, what the hell is this all about? Emotion gets involved really quick. You're going to do what to me? I've been here for 4 years. I've moved up, and you're just going to come in here. You've been in here for 4 or 5 months, and you're going to strut your stuff, and you're going to tell me I'm going to lose a little bit of money, a little bit of status, and change my schedule? Tough situation. Now, here's the interesting thing. Strain out the emotion. Now, when I was in my 20s, I couldn't do this, and I'll give you a story about this, but I learned. Strain out the emotion with an individual like this, and I call it like, just give them a little petting. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you want to change my schedule, and give them back their words, too. So you want to change my schedule and change my title to this. And if they give you a little attitude. Now, if you have an HR, you listen, be neutral with them. Don't be too high, too low. But in certain situations, especially managers that are insecure, and what I mean by that, maybe they're new like this one, or they're younger than you or less experienced, they want to win. If you say that wall's blue and they say it's greenish blue, it's greenish blue. You're wrong. What would be nice is the manager that goes, well, let me look into that. Maybe I'm wrong. Right? But if you're dealing with that, you go to HR and then you go like this. There's something called, and this works for relationships too, and I've sent it to people before. Number one, observe what happened. This is called the nonviolent communication method. It's a weird title, but this is how it works. Write this down because this can be useful in relationships and job situations. Observe what happened. Observe means just what happened. So I got a new manager. They're telling me that I might get less money, and they're going to give me a demotion. Okay. What kind of feelings did that give you? Number two, I'm scared, I'm upset, and I'm angry. Okay, clear. What do I need? I want to keep my job title. I want to keep my same schedule. This is the good part. Because feelings and needs mess shit up. Because when you get like angry and upset, you lose track of what you really want. What you want is, I want to keep the same salary. I want to be able to move up. I want to keep the same schedule. Is you getting angry going to help that? No. So then the next part, number 4, would be, what do you want to request? I just want to keep the same schedule. I want to keep the same title, and I want to make the same money. If she's threatening that, this new manager, then you go to her superior or you go to HR. Very clear. That's how that works. Now, I had a situation, like I said, Rob, you might have heard this one before. This one comes up as an all-time situation with the manager that I had years ago. All time. This manager was calling me into the back, and it was when I used to sell shoes when I was about 19 or 20 years old. And I heard her, and she's like, Mac, can you come see me in the office? Mac. It was over a loudspeaker. They had a loudspeaker in the back, and I heard it. I didn't really care for her. I didn't really like her as a manager, but she kind of liked me in more ways than one, I think. And I basically ignored the message. I ignored the message and didn't go to the call for about 20 minutes. Is everyone on deck? Because it's saying that we have an error. If I'm going to tell a story, I don't want to be telling it to 0 people. Are we live? Are we okay? Because it's saying it's saying it's not coming in. All right, it says it's back on deck. So getting back to this story. Calls me in the back. Like I said on loudspeaker, Mac, please come to the office. Mac, please come to the office. And when I was 19, 20 years old, I was a smart ass. I was sarcastic, and I thought I was very clever, like most 19, 20-year-olds. And I was kind of snickering to myself, yeah, I'll get there in a moment. So she, like I said, she's calling me in the back for like 10, 15 minutes. I act like I don't hear it. Finally going to the office, she's like, did you hear me calling you in the office? I said, no, I didn't even hear it. I'm sorry. And I had a big shit-eating grin on my face. I'm like, no, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. You sure you didn't hear me? No, I didn't hear you. Were you listening when I called you in the back? I said, nah, I just didn't hear you. I need to know that you heard me. And all of a sudden, I just jumped up and I was like, I fucking heard you. I just erupted because it was like 6 times like in standing over the top of me. Wasn't premeditated, completely impulsive, and I just lost it because she was talking to me like a little kid, like, and I just yelled, I fucking heard you. I understand what you're trying to tell me. And she went and got the other manager and told the other manager that she felt physically threatened by me and that I was going to put my hands around her neck. Completely untrue. I got really angry and upset and raised my voice. I said some bad words. But this was like 20 years ago. Right? And the lady comes in. Luckily, the manager kind of knew me. I'd been there for like 6 months. I was a pretty good worker, very good salesperson. And she's like, Mac, I need to talk to you in private because, Joan just came over to me and told me that she felt threatened by you and that she thought that you were going to maybe put, she said your hands were like this. And I was like, what? I was appalled. I was really upset. I said, hey, look, I lost my cool. I got upset, but there was no part of me I said, you know me. I'm not going to hit someone at work or strangle them. So she came back in the room and made this big deal that she felt like she was scared and all. Like if this happened now, I probably would have been fired. They wouldn't even have let it be a question. So what did I do? I apologized. And I learned a lot in that situation. I remember learning a lot, and I thought to myself, I really didn't want to lose my job. I was making good money for that time, for that experience. I apologized. I could have easily just went nuts and went, oh my God, I never did that. And I thought to myself, that's not what I want. I want to keep my job, and I don't want to have drama with this manager again. I'm not going to kiss their ass, but I'm going to make nice right now. And if they call me from the back again, I'll come. It's too high a consequence, right? I know that this individual manager is willing to go for the kneecaps. Those people are scary, by the way. Like someone that's willing to lie for an ego win. Those are kinds of people, you don't want to work with them long term. Like if that's a situation where that person gets moved up and they're your manager and they have a lot more control of the situation, the answer is to get a new job or transfer to a different place. That's the answer. Because those kind of people, they're poisonous. There's poisonous. Has anyone else ever worked that's on the live stream? Have you ever worked for someone that's a manager or a superior where you're just like, this person, if you cross them, it's not about wrong or right. It's about winning. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because some people argue this way in relationships, right? They have to win, right? When the best negotiation is a win-win. Yeah, most younger people have no clue. Hence, when I was 19 or 20. And after that, like I said, I never had a problem with that manager again. I didn't stay at that place very long. And it also made me realize I don't want to work jobs like this for too long where I answer to people like this that are, just human lie. Just lie. When you're willing to lie to get someone fired, you're a low individual, right? And to lie about something like that's detrimental to a person's character. But you can't win in that moment. You can't win in that moment. She wasn't really petite. She wasn't that small. And like I said, I got upset, but there was no part of me that came anywhere close to putting hands or anything close to the person. It was just a blatant lie. It was a blatant lie. And like I said, I think she kind of had a crush on me at the time. There was just other factors that pointed to that. So I don't know if that was part of the reason she acted that way. But regardless, if I wanted to keep my job, I had to apologize. Not over the top, and I had to plead my case to an outside person that wasn't her. Luckily, the person that I pled my case to was reasonable, understanding, and believed me. Right? But long term, I thought to myself, I ended up transferring like a year later, not because of that situation, but like I said, that's when you go, do I want to put myself in this position forever? In the moment, you deal with it, but then you go, where's my power? Well, I'm not striving to be a manager like them at this place. That's where your power's at. And the reason I just went down this little rabbit hole, I just had an email today from someone that was having some issues at work and they wanted my opinion. So I would use that tactic. Observe what happened neutrally. Ask yourself what feelings bubbled up, and then ask yourself what your needs are. Like, what do you need from this? And then what's your request? So in my particular story I just told you, I didn't answer a call from a manager. The manager got upset with me and then became increasingly annoying by saying that I didn't respond, this and that. I erupted. I got upset. And they accused me of being intimidating and looking like I was going to physically hurt them. My feelings were anger, disgust, right? Anger, disgust. I was appalled because it was just so over the top. What were my needs? I wanted to keep my job. I wanted to keep my job. I liked my job. I was good at my job. And at that time in my life, it was good money. I wanted to keep my job. That was my need. So it wasn't a time to win the argument. It wasn't a time for me to go, she's a big liar. She's lying. You know what I did instead? Hey, I didn't put my hands anywhere towards you, but I will apologize for raising my voice and getting loud with you, right? Request. The request was, can I go back to work? Can I just get my job back? What did I learn from it? This person's dangerous. Tread lightly around them. If you're going to work here, you got to know how they operate. People like that, you don't want to get too close to them because they get their feelings hurt. And so you just do your job. I don't want to say stay out of their way, but just don't. Even if people like that, here's an interesting thing. If you get close to them, where you guys go out to lunch at work and you think you're buddy, you do one thing wrong or one thing that upsets them or hurts their feelings and they're in a position of management, they will go for the kneecaps. Dangerous. Now, why am I talking about this? It happens in relationships too. Have you ever been in a relationship where someone always has to win the argument? They have to win. And they don't just win. They have to rub it in your face afterwards and bring it up 10 times over. These kinds of people, you got to steer clear of them. And the good thing at work, if there's an HR department, you go to the referee. Why do you have lawyers for divorce? It's a referee. The judge, right? Doesn't always work in your favor. It's what it is. All right, 37 minutes in, we have a mixed bag, 11 on deck, 6 likes. Hope that helped. Andy, Jenny, Petty Betty. Oh, Johnny is lurking around. Oh, my God, she's so dramatic. Was she fatigued? What was the other question you asked? Did she avoid you after that? Yes, that's probably the reason. No, she didn't avoid me after that. This is the thing. She was cool like 2 days later. Oh, hi, Mac. Like nothing happened. Like I didn't just accuse you of something that could have got you in trouble. You can get arrested for shit like that now. Someone saying that they were physically scared of you, that you were gonna basically strangle them. It's ridiculous. But it wouldn't have helped if I just fought emotion with emotion. I went, you know what? I need my job. I'm gonna separate the problem here and go, hey, I raised my voice with you. I apologize. But I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Is there any other breakup issues you're not seeing or you didn't see after a breakup for the 11 on deck? Was there something that after the breakup, down the road, months later, you thought to yourself, damn, I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that as part of the breakup. One thing I didn't see, I remember there was an ex that stayed in touch with her ex-boyfriend, but stayed in touch with him in a way that was pretty pitiful on his end. He would send desperate messages and say how much he missed her, and we had been together for over a year, and that he was going to do harm to himself and different things like that, and would be like, oh, what should I do, you know? It wasn't all the time. It'd be like once every few months or something like that. And I just kind of was like, I kind of felt bad for the guy at the time. I didn't feel like it was a threat or anything. And then when we did break up, within like a month or 2 months, they got back together. So that was one of those things where I was like, was that always just a back burner? Maybe it was, right? It didn't contribute to the reason why we broke up, because we broke up because of long distance. But was that never being severed? Because if something goes down, I can quickly revisit that one. It's not something I saw in the moment. That's for damn sure. I was surprised. She wanted you to play doctor with her. Okay. Anyone have any questions about their relationships? I'm going to save. I've got 2 stories on deck, but I think I'm going to save them. My ex used to stay in contact with her ex's mom and the drunk texting her exes. Jeez, that's drunk texting your ex is a huge red flag. I don't think I've ever dealt with that one. I wouldn't have a problem if someone stayed in contact with their ex's mom, if they're close. But drunk texting her exes and admitting to it later on, no bueno. That's not good. Well, one of the ones that comes up sometimes is some people go, well, they've always drank, but I don't really think they're an alcoholic. What does that mean? This is one of those ones where I agree, because some people will go, oh, if someone has over 2 or 3 drinks a night, they're an alcoholic. Whatever. Alcoholism is a problem when it becomes a problem. When you get 2 DUIs and you can't drive your car anymore, then it gets real. When you have liver issues and it's affecting your health, then it becomes a problem. This is just how humans are. If people can go through their life, work, make money, have personal relationships, and have fun and have a few pops every night, then it's not a problem for them. They're not, quote unquote, an alcoholic in their own eyes. But there's what you call functional alcoholics that, drink every night after work, and they're jolly and they're fun to be around. They don't make mistakes, and they don't drink and drive, right? Maybe we'll even call them responsible. But it does affect relationships, because people who drink a lot have different levels of decision making, which in a relationship counts. They generally have less patience. People that smoke a lot of weed, they generally have less patience when they're sober. And what does relationships require a lot of? Would you agree that there's some patience involved in relationships, or problem solving or reasoning? And would you agree that if someone drinks nightly, they're not really at their best to do that? I used to go through her phone, which I would never do that again. That's a red flag. That means you don't trust her. An ex called me up and said he got engaged, and I congratulated him. And then he asked, crazy, right? What? I said, did you call me for my opinion or a dress for the invitation? What did he say, Petty Betty? That's so random. Actually, that's funny, because I had one ex-girlfriend that was getting married talk to me like one last time and tell me that they were getting married. That's interesting. I wonder if that, for her, I think it was like, I'm getting married, so I just want to she didn't say it in so many words, but in other words, we're not going to talk anymore. We're not going to be on friendly terms. Like, I'm going to have a husband now. It's like, okay, no problem. Good luck. Crazy, right? Sounds like he's really mature about marriage. And it also sounds like he's having a few doubts. God, I don't even know what that... I'll be frank. I don't even know what that feels like to be in that situation where you're about to get married. Wow, what butterflies. You ever had a client who couldn't deal with their girlfriend's body count? I never use that term body count. I just think that's too associated with death. But for those listening to 10 on Deck, body count is how many people someone slept with prior to you. And men definitely have way more of an issue than women. I don't even know if women ask that question as often. I certainly have never been asked that question from a girl I was dating. You know, there's innuendos of, oh, yeah, this or that. Don't have to be sorry. It's a legitimate question. Have I had clients, though? Yeah. Yep. There was one woman in particular. She was in her early 20s. Her boyfriend was late 20s. And the funny thing is, she never told me what her body count was. But her personality and character, the way she acted, I would have been surprised if it was over 10. I would have been really surprised. I don't know what it was. I never asked, oh, so how many was it? She came to me for breakup advice and to talk about it. But this guy, literally, she told him. He was really upset about it. He would insinuate that he couldn't believe she did that. And she had a couple one-night stands mixed in there. And she was honest about it. And she said it got to a point where he would literally bring it up like right before bed or in the morning, like it was on his mind all the time. And she got to a point where she was like, really, again? Like, can't you let this go? And one of those things is, if someone's telling you the truth and being brave enough to be honest, can you handle the truth? And if they're with you now, all paths lead to now. I mean, I'll be honest, though. When I was 19, 20, it used to matter to me. My first girlfriend that became my ex-girlfriend, it was an issue for me. And that was ego, and that was worrying about what other people think. But when you get to a certain age, I think you can ask. Careful what you wish for if the person's honest. I mean, I remember I had a situation where I was going out with a woman that became my girlfriend, and we were dating. We were really happy together, and we ran into this other woman, and she was like, "Hi, Mac, da 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 da, how you doing?" Da, da, da. And and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" It was kind of casual, and the way we were talking, and afterwards, she's like, "Did you sleep with her before?" And I'm like, "Yep," and she's like, "Okay." Like, she just wanted to know. It was one of those things, like, she thought I would maybe lie about it. I was like, "Yep, yeah, I have." Oh, is what it is, right? Wasn't my girlfriend or anything before, but I just said, "Yep, I did." And she was like, "Okay." I think she was surprised that I was so quick to go, "Yeah." And I wasn't like, "Oh, yeah, let me get your number." It was just one of those things like, she was excited to say hello. We hadn't seen each other for a while, but there was nothing there. It had been from, years prior. She could kind of tell. And then it was left alone. It don't matter. It was before me. Then he asked, okay, so my ex used to stay in contact with her ex, like hitting me up on Facebook. I used to go through her phone. Okay, we already talked about it. The old rule, take the number she says and exes and times it by 3. I don't know. I mean, I'm at this point where if you're serious with someone, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt and read character well. You can be lied and fooled, but I mean, sometimes you just got to go, okay, if you want to lie to me, go ahead and lie to me. That's on you. But at a certain level, isn't there some people you meet and you're like, they're not lying? If you feel like from the get-go someone's lying to you, that's kind of a red flag of someone to date long-term. Women always ask me about body count. I always found it weird and laughed it off. My answer is always 3. You just use 3 so you don't have to think about it, huh? Oh, man. Then he asked if it's okay for him to give me my number to his. Really? Then he asked if it's okay for him to give my number to his. To his what? It don't matter. It was before me. I never ask a woman about hers because she will always lie. I usually have a good idea after spending some time with her. Cool friend, that's a basketball coach. Don't ask because you will never be okay with any number. Well, don't ask if you can't handle it either. So here's the other part. No matter what the number is, you don't know the person, right? I think it's worse if you know a person. Yeah, this is worse. If you have a friend, family, or colleague, especially a good friend, and they've hooked up with your girlfriend before, whether it was a long time ago, that stings. I've had that before. Wasn't that they cheated or anything like that, but really good friend of mine had hooked up with my girlfriend of 2 years later, and it affected my friendship with my buddy. Not that I hated my friend. I just hung out with him less. It bugged me. It bugged me. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it was a good friend of mine, a really good friend of mine. If the number is over 20, that speaks volumes. I just say after the second time, I stop counting. I've heard someone say before, uncountable. I say enough to be experienced. That's a good answer, Rob. That's a slick. That's a Corey Wayne. One of the ones I've heard another guy say before is a gentleman never tells. That's clean. Women will always lie about their body count. Don't kid yourself or fail for any counts of innocence. They will usually count the relationships, but never the night stands or quickies. Well, you get to a certain age probably too, and you're like, someone doesn't have it in their head, like they have to think about it for a moment. If someone has a large number of exes, I cannot enter into their paradigm. You know the answer, don't already ask. That comes with growth, bro. It shouldn't bother a person that if you know a person your girlfriend slept with, it's a small world. It does. I'm just being, this was years ago. I think it's hard if it's your good friend, if it's your really good buddy, a buddy that's bragged about, hooking up with women before. It's awkward. It is awkward. I think it's that men are more territorial. We like to pee on the fire hydrant. It's like, it's definitely ego, and, men are attracted to loyalty. Who you make your girlfriend, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, Johnny, Dark Knight, who are on deck, and I don't know if the women are still listening, but men are really attracted to a woman long-term that they feel like can be loyal. And when they hang out with her, they feel like she really has eyes for me and that she's not wandering eyes. A guy will lose a lot of respect if he goes out in a public scene and a woman's flirtatious or touchy with other guys that are there. I once knew this girl who had 8 serious relationships in 2 years. At least she acted like they were serious. That's a red flag. Was she good looking? Loyalty's it's big. It's if you're around dating someone, you can pick up on that pretty quickly. And by the way, it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. Are they loyal to their other friends? Are they loyal at work? Those things all line up. I will say that if my friend dates my ex, I look at my friend differently and see where his integrity lies. We will still... this wasn't one of those situations for me where it was my friend's ex. They just hooked up once or twice. We will stay, he cool, but I know what type of man he is. I agree. I don't... I've talked to friends, and I've had friends ask me, would you mess with someone's ex that's a friend of yours? Short answer, no. No. If they were apart for a long period of time and things had changed a long period of time, maybe. And if it wasn't a really good friend of mine, right? We have tiers of friends, correct me if I'm wrong, that are, I don't like to use this term best friend, but I have friends that are really close to me. I would never do that. I don't think it's, I think if someone does it and the smoke is cleared, in other words, it's been over a couple years, it's not as bad a problem. But for me, if one of my friends has been with someone before, yeah, no. But if they just had a hookup before that was innocent, maybe when they were younger, if my girl flirts with other guys or acts that way, I will 100% just leave her there. Now, loyalty is important to you, Dark Knight, right? And when I say loyalty, I mean like in a group setting, especially. So I think that's where that comes from too. But there's special circumstances in different relationships. So there's special circumstances in different relationships for sure. How a person breaks up with you tells you 1,000% who they really are, no matter how they were during the relationship. That was the most painful wake-up call for me. I will say this. If you're together for a long period of time, it'll tell you who they are in that moment, not who they were the last 5 years, because people do change. And they change because of circumstances. That could be job, that could be long distance, that could be a lot of different things. Circumstances change, the rules change, people change because the circumstances change. Makes sense if you think about it. Let's put it this way, if someone's rich and they go bankrupt, do they change? Yeah, pretty quick. Right? If someone gets plastic surgery on their breast, do they change the level of attention they're getting? Yeah, pretty quick. Right? Have you ever met someone and you're like, did she just get a TIT job? Really? Man. That's going to be instantly changing the circumstances of the attention. Cheaters remain cheaters when the circumstance is justified in their heads. All right, let me take a look at who's on deck here. Rosanna, Petty, Andy, Seth, Jenny, Petty Betty, Rosanna again, oh Johnny Rob, Dark Knight. I used to always say there's a category of men that I know from seeing around the neighborhood that had a good look, looking girl. If they break up, I'm talking. If they break up, I'm taking. But these are men I just say a casual hi and bye to. What do you mean? You're gonna? I'm taking my rip, or I'm taking my rap? I don't understand. In other words, you see them around, you respect the fact that they're with a guy that's in the neighborhood, but if that woman becomes single, then you definitely take a shot. I mean, see, that's what's interesting. What O'Johnny just said. A lot of times, men complain that out of the breakup, women are more likely to find a new guy quicker. What I always say is that women are more likely to get attention instantly out of a breakup. Therefore, their circumstances are better to meet someone without trying. They don't have to try as hard. That being said, a lot of times out of the breakup, that's when people will try harder to look better. Yeah, definitely take a shot at her. But I've seen this again and again. And it's usually someone that someone works with. Because someone goes, you get, just like you got a crush on someone at school when you were a kid, when you're in high school, when you're in college, it's familiarity. So people you work with, you get crushes on them. It's very common. It's very, very common. Acting on it is up to you. And then if the circumstances are right, it happens. It absolutely happens. And people that go, oh my God, I can't believe it, it's human. Why cheat? Just tell them you don't want to be with them because you want to be with someone else. Sometimes people don't cheat because they want to be with someone else. Sometimes people just cheat for the moment. Right? All right, folks. It's coming up on an hour. It's 1 p.m. for me on a beautiful day here in Phuket. I think I'm going to go get my lunch. Any closing questions? Cowards, that's why. That's a strong word. Yeah, like if I know a guy named Billy from school, but me and Billy are not close friends, I'm going to date Billy's girl. If they break up because we don't have loyalty to each other, yeah. Like a crime of opportunity. That's an interesting way to phrase it. What temperatures where you're at? I'll look it up for you right now. Because it's always in Celsius. Let's see here. Let's see here for you guys. Today, right now, are you ready? 32 degrees Celsius, 61% humidity, partly cloudy. 32 degrees Celsius is 89.6 degrees. 32 Celsius, my friend. Shiny sun on the beach. It's a beautiful day here. 89. I think it's pretty dry heat, actually. It's Swordfish jumps in, who's Danny. 33 Celsius, hotter than what the number suggests, though. I feel like it's just right. I like the heat now. Oh, Johnny, it would be a pleasure. Have you ever seen snow, Coach Mac? Yes, I've been to Lake Tahoe I've been to Lake. Yeah, I've been in snow before. I've seen it and I've played in it and I've been in the snow numerous times. Would I want to live in it? No. Now living here for 10 years, I have trouble with really cold weather. I get headaches. I love the heat now. I mean, it's pretty much between 80 and 90 degrees all year. We don't really have a winter where I'm at. Always have options makes everything better. All right, Dark Knight. T-Mac with a late arrival. Lake Tahoe is a nice place. I'd say where I live is nicer, to be quite frank. Is there anything that beats a tropical island? Or am I love snowboarding. Okay. There you go. I'm just speaking for myself, I guess. A lot of rain's better? Oh, man. I've never liked... One thing I don't care for is some people like the desert, and I just find the lack of... I'd rather be in a forest with snow than a desert. I just don't like brown dirt and no plants. Koh Rong is nice. Is that a place in Thailand? Koh means island in Thailand. I've never been to Big Bear, but I've been to Tahoe, I don't know, 20 times, 15 times. Lake Tahoe's, everyone in the Bay Area goes to Lake Tahoe. It's all right. It's nice. Cambodia. I haven't been to Cambodia. White sand beaches, very nice. It's like that where I live. I want to move somewhere. I highly recommend it, Petty Betty. Does anyone in the Bay go to Sacramento? For what? Actually, my parents live closer to Sacramento. I've been to Sacramento before. It's okay. Johnny, I'd say, Johnny, if you're gonna go to California, go to San Diego. Just go there first. China has a 99-year lease there now, and is building 25 casinos and an airport and a ring road, so it's pretty much going to be ruined. Been to Vegas twice. Was supposed to go last year. Go international. Johnny, aren't you from Dominican Republic or the Caribbean? Yeah, we're waning right now, Skinner. Todd Whitmore, if you have a question, I'm still on deck. It's an hour and 8 minutes, but go ahead and shoot it from the hip. I'll wait for yours, and then we'll close it out. Petty Betty, yes, Canada welcomes people from all over the world. Oh, gosh. Haiti, that's where it's from. I apologize. That's a place I don't hear a lot of people visit. I've heard people love Cuba. Canada isn't even welcoming to returning Canadians. Oh, man. Todd Whitmore. What's up, Rob? I didn't do any stories. I have 2 stories on deck. I'm going to save them. Kind of off topic with relationship advice. What's the question, Todd? We're off topic right now, as I always do in live streams. Get the quarantine hotels and bologna sandwiches. Bologna sandwich sounds so gross. Ugh. That's another thing that's underrated here. I got to do a YouTube Thailand channel. I'm gonna do it. Just show you guys around. Just last night I was saying I had a beautiful seafood dinner, giant prawns, beautiful fresh fish, squid, which is calamari, just beautiful. A couple beers, with tip, $15. I was looking at properties all day, feeding frenzy right now. My friend is married and got knocked up by the guy she cheated with. Ooh. What do you want me to say to that, Todd? It sounds pretty cut and dry. Man. I mean, what do you do? I mean, everyone from the outside, here's the thing about that, Todd, and I think you came to me before that you're married and she got knocked up by the guy she cheated with. Everyone is like, oh, I would be done. I would be this. Was it first of all, was it a great surprise? Did it come out of nowhere that, number one, he didn't have any idea she was cheating? Or did he know she was cheating, they had problems, and then this came up? Or did it just come out of totally nowhere? Because this is one of those things, even if they're able to repair it, their relationship will never be the same, and every time they get in a fight, they'll argue about this. But like I said, everyone from the outside will go, oh, that's easy, man, just be done. But was it a total shock, Todd? Did it come out of left field, right field? Is it bad to keep tabs on my ex-wife's page because of my kids? I don't think it's bad. I think it's human, but you got to ask yourself, is it bad for your mental health? When you go on her page and you see stuff, does it hurt? Does it hurt you? Does it affect your work, Pioneer Caddy? If it does, then you got to stay off it for a while. You know what I'm saying? That's where you got to monitor and go, is this stuff creating more anxiety and depression and sadness for me and anger? And is it when you want to be on keeping tabs on her because of your kids, I mean, what is the issue? And be honest with yourself, Pioneer Caddy. Are you really keeping tabs for your kids? Is it really for their well-being, or is it because you want to know what she's up to and who she's seeing? Be really honest with yourself. No, he knew. So he knew she was messing around. Okay. Well, he just needs, Todd, I mean, it's easy for me to say. He needs to start the process. I wouldn't be, this isn't me just going, oh, go to rightmac.com and, buy an hour's coaching. Talk to me or talk to someone else, but he needs to unpack the whole story to get that all out, and he needs to, get all of it out. Maybe if you want to provide what I do for him and go, hey, man, write out everything that happened and let's talk about it. Let him talk to you about it, Todd. Don't tell him what to do. Say, hey, man, you want to talk about it? Listen. Ask questions. Right? This is one of the things that people have lost the art of listening intently without checking their phone and whatnot. Listen to them. Don't try to convince them of what's obvious to do, which is to move on, never talk to her again. Get to a point where you unpack things with him. Because none of us could feel that unless we were in that situation. But he is done. That's one thing that's crystal fucking clear. He's not going to attempt to be a stepdad to that kid. Do they have kids before that happened? After cheating, it's not a question of loving them, but trusting them. No trust, no relationship. T-Mac, that's the gospel. Pioneer Caddy, just focus on your kids. And any man coming around often, you need to have a man-to-man. Sit down and talk about it, respect and ground rules. Oh, Johnny, I think that's good advice. I think that's honest and upfront. But like, tracking on social media or one of those things could be a little bit dangerous. This is not me. It's a good friend of mine. I know it is, Todd. Well, I already know she's with someone else. I'm more messed up about that my 2-year-old daughter is laying up under him. Yeah, that would be Pioneer Caddy. That's tough, man. What I would say, if it really hurts you, stay away from any images or pictures of that, and ask yourself, is that guy an individual that's dangerous, that can hurt your daughter in any way? That's tough, man. I would stay away from any images or anything like that. That would set you off. He wants to treat the baby as though, as thought it's his regardless, but I'm not buying it. Oh, they have 2 kids already? Jesus, Todd. Well, I'll tell you this, Todd. You listen. If he wants your feedback, if he's because sometimes, hey, I'm going to tell you something that's very valuable information right now, TW. A lot of people kill the messenger. Do you know what I mean by that? A lot of people kill the messenger. I mean, there's guys out there. I've heard of this many times. I've never been a part of this. Someone blows the whistle. They go, hey, man. Hey, Todd, I saw your wife with someone, coming out of a hotel with someone else. They pretty much know your wife's been fucking around. They got pretty much firsthand experience, or, it's not just grapevine shit. And the guy will go confront his wife. The wife will lie, and then the guy will never talk to his friend again. So this is one of those real sensitive situations. If it's a good friend of yours, you listen to him. And you let him make his own decision. He's got 2 kids. So he's got some consequences of being separated from his 2 kids. And that's a decision he has to make. And a lot of times, in my own journey as a breakup coach, a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to give you do this, do that, do this, do that. When I do live coaching sessions, we talk about, Johnny's done one, T-Mac's done one. I don't just sit there and go, you have to do this, you have to do that. We talk. We talk. Because at the end of the day, you need to make a decision for yourself. You need to feel comfortable with what you're doing. Right? And so your friend, Todd, if you just basically go, hey, man, you got to, because it's so easy from the outside in, be done with her. Because I'll tell you what, if one of my friends had that happen to him, I'd be like, damn, be done with her, this, that, and the other. But you got another set of kids involved? Hey, it's not the same situation. It's not the same situation. He's got to get to a point where he goes, I want to leave her. All right, well, let's talk about that. How are you going to go about it, man? When you talk to him, Todd, when you talk to him, you open doors. You don't just go, because someone was just telling me this recently. They came to me and they were talking to me in a live session. They said they really liked my approach, and they talked to various other coaches on YouTube. And I won't say which coach it was, but it's one that charges quite a bit more than me, and it's pretty well known. And he said the guy kept going, well, I would do this. Well, I would do that. Well, if I were you, I would do this. Bad approach. Open doors. Okay, so you're thinking about leaving her? So let's say he goes, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can leave her. All right, well, then you go, all right, so if you did leave, what would happen? If you do stay, what will happen? That's opening doors for him to explore further rather than, you can't stay with her, man. There's no way you could do that. You just could do that. You just crushed all his might, because in his head, he's trying to work it out. That's a tough one, Todd. That's a tough one, man. Well, it's not just cheating. I mean, she's going to have a kid with some other guy, and then they're talking about getting back together. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, if he wants to do that, that's his choice to make. And by the way, it's not so cut and dry, because he might be going, well, I got 2 kids, and I want them to have a full-time mom and a full-time dad, and they come first in my life. That could be thought of as being admirable and noble. He's putting his kids first and his ego second. Would I be able to do that? I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm not in that position. I don't have 2 kids. That's the part where people are like, oh yeah, I wouldn't do that. Do you have 2 kids? Oh. There's some dynamics here that he's going to have to deal with. Talking out is helpful. Went through a lot of rage after finding out about the cheating, but eventually it's decided. If they're not together, why is he mad that she's at a hotel with another guy? As long as they ain't fooling around where my kids are present, that's a big no-no. I'd be living. Infidelity is brutal. Tears tears you apart like nothing else. Definitely sounds like Craig Kenneth. Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's correct, Skinner. That's the you got it. Todd Whitmore, she's been cheating. Once you work on yourself, it's the same question. Love's going to turn into hate. Craig Kenneth is disarming, the friendly, gregarious way about him, and nice face, but the heart of a ruthless businessman. Oh, God. She should be ashamed of herself. I told him the first time, but he's too in love with her. She can do wrong in his eyes. Don't kill the messenger, Todd. You understand what I meant by that? He's dug in. He doesn't want to hear it from you. He doesn't want to hear about it from you. Some people know the truth, but they don't want you to tell them it. So if that's the kind of advice that he's not responding to, just get out of his way. And when he's ready, if you want to still be there for him, fine. Resentment will kill the relationship. Absolutely. That's the thing. If he gets back in, if he doesn't break up now, they'll probably break up down the road, because when I talk about layering and different things like that, you get in another fight or you have other problems, this thing's just it's gonna come back up. I've heard many of his videos.